Well, it's been a while, years I think, since I've uploaded a video, and as you can see, I have decided to rebrand the channel. We'll talk more about that later. Right now, I want to get into the tech side of this video. WilderTech is a business that I own, and I work out of my shop at home using a Onefinity Elite Foreman CNC machine. So here you'll see some of the design process. I've already drawn everything up, and I'm just simulating the tool paths here, and I'm about to export the files, power up the machine. There's the beautiful Masso controller and my 48-inch by 32-inch spoil board workspace behind us. And as we go through the video here, I'm just kind of going to talk about what I'm doing, and the whole point of this, I guess, is to give potential customers, anyone that's interested, just an idea of what I actually do and how I do it and the amount of work that goes into these seemingly similar projects. So here you'll see I'm working on, this is a 1/4 inch thick sheet of sanded birch plywood, and I'm putting some Scotch painter's tape. I have lines on the bed of the CNC, and then I've matched that to the board and used CA glue. These thin sheets of cheaper plywood, none of them are flat, so trying to get this to hold flat to the bed, that's what the CA glue is for. And then we got blue stencil vinyl going on top, so I can cut out the designs, and paint will only go where paint's supposed to go. USB stick goes in, and the first thing the machine asks for is the required tool. It knows what tool is in there and what tool it's supposed to have loaded. It remembers from the last operation, and then it will tell you this is, in this case, it's a 1/4 inch 90-degree V-bit we're using to do some of the first parts of the carving on this. So always clean out the collets. I learned that the hard way. I had a bit come loose and fall out during the middle of an earlier cut. There's a little compressed air there. Clean that out. Changing from an 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch collet here, and then the 1/4 inch V-bit. Just align that and get her nice and tight. And I'm probably over torquing these a little bit, but like I said, once you have one fall out in the middle of a cut, you give everything a little extra twist. So here it goes over to the what would this be, Auto Tool 0 button, and it's detecting the offset from the 1/8 inch end mill that was in there to what the new 1/4 inch V-bit is. And then we begin our cut here. See, carving some letters in on the far side over there. And here we go, kicking things up a notch. So you can see it carving a lot of the text in, and then we move up to the top where the logo is. This is supposed to be a tree trunk. Cookie type section with the concentric rings that you'd normally see in a tree. And obviously this is for a forest school in Oro-Medonte here, near where I live. This is just a good example of how smooth these Onefinity machines are. It's just flawlessly cutting that out, pixel perfect. The more I use this thing, the better I get with it, and the repeatability and accuracy is phenomenal. Here we're going back over those first letters. Again, the thickness of this plywood is not the most consistent, and it being only 1/4 inch thick, I really wasn't into surfacing it before I started carving, so you're going to have issues where the far edge from where you initially took your Z-axis reading for 0, it's off by a few thou, and that's enough to make a big difference here. So just to make sure it cut through the vinyl, I've gone over it again at a lower depth. That's all done. Now we know all the text is good. And here we go with some of the painting. This was the easy part of this project, just a little bit of rattle can black sprayed onto a piece of the backing for the vinyl. brushing it in just not to waste paint and get it all over the place. And another tooling change. 1/4 inch V-bits coming out. Keep everything clean. Whoops, dropped the collet. Recovered that quick. The magic of some fancy camera work. Torque her up. And here we have a 1/8 inch down cut end mill. I'm using a down cut here just because it will shear downwards on the top edge and will reduce tear out. Just makes cleaner edges. Not that this is a roughing pass, so we'll go over this again later with the V-bit, but it's just doing the bulk of the work to save doing hours and hours of passes with the tip of that V-bit. The roughing pass with a little end mill, and then the V-bit will do the detail work here. And here goes the 90-degree 1/4 inch V-bit, carving out the little fern accents on the edges and finishing the circle of children around the logo. And then here's more of the painful cleanup work with a hobby knife, cutting out all those little burrs and bits of vinyl. And now I wanted to do this like their logo is. You can see 21 different colors, I think. And I had to mix the last one. Labeled every bottle so that I know which color goes where as I do multiple passes. Because usually the first pass or two, this is acrylic paint, but even that, it bleeds into the wood, so you got to do a few coats to get the color really solid the way I like it. Mixing up, I think it was a little bit of 1 in 20 to make the last color there. And coat number 2. You can see how many brushes I go through doing this. This is very time-consuming work. We're into the evening. The light in this video is pretty erratic just because I'm working on this on and off for 2 or 3 days at whatever time of day I can get out there. Another bit change. Here we go. Got a down cut 1/4 inch downtown Jenny, I believe, from Cadence Manufacturing. These are incredible bits, and we're using this one to cut the pockets out for the inserts that are going to go in later on. Here we go. This is pretty quick. Just milling down 1/60 thou or so to index the placement of these inserts later on. You can see how clean the edges are. There's no burrs. That's from the down cut end mill. If you're using an up cut end mill on this, it'd be pulling those wood fibers up, causing a lot of tear out. And here we go. Now this is a 1/8 inch compression bit, and this is a part out pass. So you see we're cutting at the full depth, a little bit over 1/4 inch. So we pass right through the material, cutting the final parts out here. You'll see the head of the router going up and down as it travels. It's leaving little, what they're called bridges, tabs that keep these pieces in place. So that's finally done. You see me struggle with the tape and glue here a little bit, maybe too much glue. And then the rotary tool on a Dremel, cutting all the bridges out. This is the best way I've found to do this without causing damage to the good part. Little core blend there for you. And cutting all the inserts out here. More tedious work. Got that done. Over to the router table with a flush cut bit. And just cleaning up those edges, getting the tabs off. There we go. Cleaning up the main board now. And a little bit of sanding, and then the hobby knife again, cleaning up burrs and rough edges. On to paint. These are the inserts that are going to be painted with blackboard paint. Hitting them with a little bit of gray primer first. And while that's drying, we go back over here and start peeling off the vinyl masking. which is more tedium. A lot of it comes off fairly easy, but near the paint, I got to get in there with the hobby knife once again and carefully pick the rest of that vinyl out of there. But this came out really nice. All the lines are pretty crisp. I'm pleased, very pleased with this project. Now we're masking off the area that the back of the inserts are going to go into, because you want raw wood on raw wood when you're working with wood glue. And I'm about to seal the entire thing with a big coat of shellac here. Once again, terrible lighting, working in the evening in the garage. It's not as bad as it looks, but on the camera it looks like I'm working in darkness. Bullseye shellac is what I use for most of my protective coating on things. The reason being is it sands very well, and it works well for the initial coat of sealing I put on these to stop the paint bleed. It also dries very quickly, but it is pricey. And you get with it. You get what you pay for. Back over to the paint booth here. I'm gonna blow a bit of dust off without wrecking my boards. Hit them with a quick sand just to scuff up that first coat and even out any of the imperfections in the surface of the wood. Try and make a smooth surface for the chalk later on. And I'm not trying to take a lot of material off again. Don't even want to expose any raw wood. I just want to clean that up for a nice smooth surface to write on. Little Milwaukee orbital sander. It's one of their newer models, the brushless one. It is absolutely fantastic. Besides the CNC machine itself, probably one of the most useful things I purchased this year. And here we go with the Rust-Oleum chalkboard paint. Coat 1. You can just see the amount of material, the masking and paint and stuff that goes into one little project like this. It's insane. The consumables, sanding pads, tooling. Coat number 2. And we'll hit the back of this while we're waiting for that other stuff to dry with a little bit of shellac. Make sure it's weatherproof just in case kids are out in the rain. I want this thing to last. And a quick sand on the insert pieces after the first couple of coats. Clean them off, and then the final coat of black. And this was another regret. I should have done these one at a time, but impatience got the best of me, and I found myself trying to figure out how to clamp all these things down as glue was setting, but live and learn. The end result, I'm pretty happy with it. Although the lighting in this footage is terrible, the end product is something I'm proud of. So hopefully the kids at Oro-Medonte Forest School and the parents enjoy some pictures from this first day of school board, and everybody else out there, you have a little bit better of an understanding of what I'm trying to do and how I'm doing it. Thanks, guys. We'll see you again in the next video. Should be coming soon, and it's going to be a wild one.